In order to give us an official welcome this morning, it is my great pleasure to invite our new district mayor, His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Mzizuma from the Umgungundlovu District Municipality. His Worship the Mayor.
It needs a bit of an adjustment. Honorable MEC Dube Ncube, Honorable Mayor Tebola of the City of Choice from Sundozi, Senior Management of the Department of Finance and other departments that may be present here today, leadership of business organizations, leaders of single business entities that are here, all social partners who are present in this very important event. We wish to extend our warm greetings to all of you and welcome all of you to this august event. MEC appreciates the fact that you decided that this all-important occasion and gathering, you decided that is hosted by our district. We really welcome that and we really appreciate that. We believe we would have lobbied for it to come here. Fundamentally because we believe as this particular districts that we've got some strategic significance insofar as the economy of the province is concerned for a number of reasons. Of course, we are a host of a capital city of KwaZulu-Natal, Umsunduzi, the city of choice. We contribute. We should be the second biggest municipality in any case as Umgungundlovu in the province after the metro. We contribute at least 11% to the GDP of the province. We are located in the N3, economic development corridor. And we believe that there is so much on our side to offer in the economic development of the province, in the economic growth, as well as employment creation in the province. But we believe that economic development, economic growth that is coupled with employment creation needs all the players that are in this room today. And I think it is opportune for us to say it is important that wherever your focus is, because we are not saying there shouldn't be a focus in any other part of the province in terms of economic development, in terms of economic growth, in terms of employment creation. But we do want to say that it will be important that you get invited to this particular corner of the province called Umgungundlovu, which has 7 local municipalities. Of course, most of you will be mainly familiar with our city because, of course, we should be inviting investment into that, into the city, but we want to say this part of the district have a number of economic nodes which require attention in terms of economic development, which need all of us to say, how do we invite investments to all the parts of this district, but of course to our main contributor in the economy. Of course, Umsunduzi in our districts has a bigger share in terms of the contribution in the economy, 67%. But we, of course, would want to see investments going to all the parts of the districts, all the economic nodes that are there in this particular district. Would want to see investments in Bofana, would want to see investments in Mgeni, would want to see investments in Bentley, Richmond, Camperdown, all the parts of the districts. We believe that we should also be working together, not only in this part of the province, but because we are given a particular responsibility in this part of the province. We believe that we should be also working together with all of you who are in business, who are in the private sector, in our economic recovery program. We should all know that the pandemic created crisis for us. It compounded the problem that we already had in terms of the economic situation in the districts, but also in the entire country. We're also affected. The pandemic complicated the problem that was there in terms of the economic situation. The July unrest compounded the problem as well. And we have a joint responsibility to ensure that we work together in terms of ensuring that the economic recovery program that we have developed as the government, which requires participation of all social partners, we join our hands and ensure that every business entity that will have been affected by the pandemic, that will have been affected by the July unrest, and any other factors, gets assisted and gets to its own feet, and it's able to contribute to the economy of the districts, but as well as the economy of the country in general. So we really invite your active participation in ensuring that the economy recovery plan and the economic recovery program, we all play the kind of roles that we should be playing in terms of ensuring that our economy in the districts, in the province and in the country as a whole others. Of course, we do want to say, as I go back to my seat, and I'm glad I'm saying this because the mayor of Umsunduzi, in terms of our district development model, is the convener of the economic cluster of the DDM. And I think we do want to work towards at some point, but it should, Mayor, be in the very current year and not very late, that we should invite all our social partners, particularly the private sector, the business, to say, because of the strategic significance of this particular district in the economy of the province, let's converge and convene and say, and have what we would have seen at a national level, an investment conference of the district, or summit if you like, and begin to engage as to how we can all contribute to the economy of the district, in the economic growth and employment creation in the district. How do we invite beyond us who may be operating in this space as business? How do we even invite others to come so that we've got really a vibrant and booming economy in this particular corner of the province? And we do want to make commitment on our side as local government, in particular the districts and all the locals, that we will do whatever that is necessary to create, assisted by the provincial sphere of government, to also create a conducive environment for business to operate within our space, but also a conducive environment for investment attraction into this particular district. And I continually emphasize in the districts, not necessarily, I know that Mayor Tebola would really want all the investment to come to this very big city, which contributes at least, which has a share of, as I said before, 67% of the economy of this district. But I stand here to say, look at how we can even stimulate economies in the economic nodes outside Umsunduzi. That will assist Mayor Tebola not to have huge numbers of people moving from all corners of the district to put pressure, on the resources that are here, so that people in their own localities begin to be linked with economic activities, with employment opportunities, and see no need to converge in their bigger numbers to Pietermaritzburg. But as I finally land, we are happy, MEC, on one critical project amongst many, which we believe is a catalytic project, the government precinct project that is coming, and it has been approved by the provincial sphere of government. We believe that it is going to have the necessary spin-offs, not only for the city of choice, but for the entire district as a whole. So we welcome that particular project and would want to see it taking off the ground, because we believe it's one catalytic project that we should see in our lifetime. With those words, once again, want to say welcome to this august event. Welcome to Mgungundlovu. We wish that you really stay here and you make the kind of contribution in terms of economic development, economic growth, but more so employment creation we don't want employment, we don't want economic growth that doesn't go hand in glove with employment creation. We have seen that in the past, where we would have seen economic growth in the country that was not necessarily going in tandem with employment creation as well. So we do want, when we embark on whatever economic activities, that it should really create employment for our people. We want services to be paid for. We're here as mayors. People can't pay for services because some of them are on our indigent register, they are unemployed. So we'd want to see economic development, economic growth that goes with employment creation. With those words, thank you very much, MEC, and all of us, you are welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you to His Worship the Mayor for that warm welcome to everybody. Please allow me to do the official acknowledgement of guests present. I'd like to acknowledge first and foremost our host for this morning, our Honourable MEC for Finance, Mrs. Nomusa Dube-Ncube, our Mayor from the district, which I have already acknowledged, Councillor Mzi Zuma, His Worship the Mayor of Mzinduzi Municipality, Councillor Mzimkhulu Tebola. Then I'd like to acknowledge on the business side, there's a number of business representatives here, but we have our past president, Babu Beju, I saw in the room, past president Zintle Sokela, honorary member of the chamber, Jeff Jafta, and I hope that I haven't missed anybody else in the room. Members of the chamber, chairperson of Itala, RDFC, Mr. Roshan Mora. We have panel members present that will be partaking in the panel later, Mr. Wayne Evans from SAICA, Mrs. Zintle Sokelo, I've already acknowledged, Dr. Sanele Gumede, Mrs. Tania Stiller. We have the acting HOD for finance in the province, Mrs. Nelly Shezi. Our moderator of the panel later on, Mrs. Nomta Mjuza. All business representatives, any captains of industry, academia, all senior government officials that are present, colleagues, fellow contributors to the economy in the Pietermaritzburg and Midlands region, welcome, and thank you for joining us this morning. I think it is imperative that all of those present in this room work together in the same direction. Donkey once said something to Shrek in the movie Shrek. He said, only a true friend could be that honest. And I think that I have been known for being quite straightforward when I do engage with government, but please take it from the place of passion and of love for this country and for this region, and a real interest in seeing that we work together in the same direction to make it successful for all who live here. So I think it is imperative that we find each other. We have the makings of a really great area. We have all the tools on both sides of government and of business, and we need to embrace that passion that exists, that energy, that new energy that we found this year, because we've been through two terrible, terrible years where it's been almost impossible for business to survive. So the resilience of our people is something that we've got to applaud. The fact that we come back, that we're prepared to dig in, that we're prepared to stand together and make it work, that's something to be celebrated. And South Africans, particularly those that live in this region, we are those people. So I just want to end by saying thank you to all of you for continuing to invest in our area. The people that invest in this space, the people that invest in businesses and homes and their livelihoods, they put their everything in here because they believe. So we welcome the partnership. We thank you for the opportunity this morning to engage, and we look forward to the outcomes that come from here. We are now going to have some introductory remarks by the acting HOD, Shezi, acting HOD for finance. So I will hand over to you. Thank you very much.
It is my pleasure to greet my Honorable MEC Unzwakele, His Worship the Mayor waseMgungundlovu, Councillor Uzuma, His Worship the Mayor waseMsunduzi, Councillor Tebola, all political leaders that are present in this room, traditional leaders that are present in this room, business leaders, community members, colleagues from the Provincial Treasury and other government departments. It is my pleasure to greet you and welcome you all to this engagement this particular morning. My name is Nelly Shezi. I've been introduced. I work in the Provincial Treasury. The main purpose of today is that we are taking the provincial budget message to our partners and to our colleagues. The Honorable MEC tabled this budget on the 9th of March. Maybe some of the colleagues could not participate in that particular process. The important thing is that today you get an opportunity to engage with what the MEC had presented and to give us feedback. Today we are here to listen more and to make sure that we listen, we become more efficient, we improve our budget oversight, we stretch the rand, and we make sure that this province prospers. The PFMA and the MFMA gives Provincial Treasury certain responsibilities, and as a Provincial Treasury, we are up for that task. But with the engagements that we'll have here today, we sharpen our skills and we sharpen our focus in terms of the oversight responsibilities that we have been given. One of those responsibilities, obviously, is the preparation of the provincial budget, which is what we are dealing with today. Here today, we also have a competent and highly skilled team from the Provincial Treasury. One of those is in our panel, Ms. Tania Stiller. One is facilitating, Ms. Nomtim Juza. And they are supported by a team of highly competent budget analysts, economists, and infrastructure specialists within Provincial Treasury. All of us are here to listen, to engage, and then to take those engagements and turn them into implementable actions or programs for this particular government. When the MEC tabled her speech, she also tabled the estimates of capital expenditure. It's a smallish green book which details each and every infrastructure project that will be rolled out in this province, and I urge members to have a look at that document. All of the documents are on our website. She also tabled the estimates of revenue and expenditure, which details what each and every department will do with the funds that have been allocated. She also tabled the socio-economic review and outlook, which looks at the economic parameters that inform our budget numbers. So we are engaging here with the main budget having been tabled. However, the inputs that we get here today can still make an impact in this financial year, because in November we table our adjustments budget. There is an opportunity to then effect some of the good ideas that we will get out of this engagement today. Each department will still table its own vote and detail its own plans in terms of what we have allocated to them, but nothing stops the colleagues in this room and the collective wisdom in this room in engaging Provincial Treasury and saying, as you allocate budgets to departments, this is what you need to look into. This is what you must make sure that departments deliver for this economy to prosper and this region to prosper as well. I want to also thank our panel members, Mr. Wayne Evans. I think today he gets an opportunity to tell us what he couldn't tell us when he was a CFO in one of the departments, because that would have affected how much we gave to him. Thank you very much, Wayne, for agreeing to be one of our panel members. Ms. Sokela, thank you very much, ma'am, for agreeing to be one of our panel members. A perspective from business will assist us as we look at the economic recovery, as His Worship the Mayor has indicated. We need to look at interventions post-COVID and also post the July unrest. And we also need to look at how government procurement spend can become much more efficient. And how do we make sure that in our processes, we do not kill the SMMEs that are supporting this particular government, because the GDP growth that we all are wishing for is also informed by government spending and how that spending is actually applied on the ground. Dr. Sanele Kumete, thank you very much, sir. As perspective on the parameters that inform our fiscal framework, including the equitable share formula, will be most welcome from yourself. Also, a critical and a closer look at our SERO, as I've indicated, our Socio-Economic Review and Outlook document, will also be highly appreciated. We do have a small team of economists that will benefit a lot from the analysis and from the wisdom that you will share today with us. Ms. Stiller, she does need to be introduced. I've also mentioned her, and Unumti. Those are the two ladies that are leading the budget team that will also be participating in the program today. We look forward to a fruitful engagement. We look forward to hearing perspectives that we need to look at and maybe blind spots that we have missed. You are all welcome, and we are here to listen and translate all of what you will raise with us to implementable actions. And as Provincial Treasury, we need to lead by example in terms of government efficiencies, professionalism, and high ethical standards. Thank you very much, colleagues. Wishing everyone a fruitful engagement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We look forward to having that engagement as well, and thank you for including us in the process. We appreciate that. It's now time for us to hear our keynote address for this morning. If you can just all be upstanding, and welcome our MEC Dube Ncube to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Program Director, Melanie, thank you so much for making yourself available this morning to direct this program, the very short program that we have. Wish to acknowledge the presence of the District Mayor, Honorable Councillor Zuma, Honorable Mayor of Umsunduzi Municipality, Honorable Tebula, Councillor Tebula, the panel members that are present here, Acting HOD, Shezi, as well as all the senior managers in the Department of Finance and Treasury. We are grateful to our panel members for agreeing to come and dissect our provincial budget and actually share those notes with the rest of our community and public. The chairperson of Itala IDFC, Mr. Roshan Mora, the past presidents of the chamber, the leadership of business in all the sectors of our economies, the captains of industry, the academia that is present here this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, it is an honor for us to be here with you this morning, and thank you for your time. As I was looking at what is it that we need to talk about today, I realized that today is not the day for us to speak or to talk, but rather, as Mrs. Shezi has said, is for us to listen and also be able to take notes as the government and see whether are we still in the same chapter. If we are not, how do we ensure that we are in the same chapter? The point of departure today is that as we have tabled our budget, in essence, with the theme, through unity in action, we can bring prosperity to KwaZulu-Natal. And this theme is equally relevant as we are here today, because it talks about the importance of working together, but it also talks about the fact that none of us can do it alone. We can only do it when we hold hands and when we are able to listen to one another and we are able to move and soldier on. Accelerating the provision of essential services in our communities, or talking about deepening social cohesion in our province, as the case is in this address this morning, bringing prosperity, bringing stability, ensuring that all our communities feel that they are part of this government. Nothing is as serious as somebody who has lost hope. And I think that's what we still need to do a lot as business, as government, to ensure that people still have hope. Because if people do not have hope, we see things like what happened in July, when people say they've got nothing to lose, and yet there is a lot that we all lost during that July episode. It is also important for us to realize that for us to survive in these challenging times, we need to strive for excellence. We need to strive for prosperity in the face of adversity. We need leadership at all political and technical level that is agile, that is innovative, that is able to depart from our daily actions and say, we're not where we were 5 years ago, or 2 years ago, even a year ago. And therefore, it is important for us to see what is it that we can do in moving forward, even better than what we have done in the last 5 years or 10 years. So it is critical for us to remain driven by a strong sense of purpose, focused on a plan of action with a common vision, with a clear goals and objectives, without being distracted by the prophets of doom, because we could easily be distracted. After all, the future is in our hands, and it is going to be delivered by us here in this room and many others who are not here in this room, sharing the same objectives, sharing the same passion and love for our country and for our province and for our districts and local municipality. We hope that this drive will ensure that all of us, we hold hands and we do deliver a future and the prosperity that our children deserve. And we've seen the failures of government, we've seen the failures of the system, and the consequences of those failures in many instances have been devastating. And we know, even now, that if we dare fail, the consequences are too ghastly to contemplate. So it is for this reason that I'd like to focus my address shortly on what we would like to see happening as we unite in action. I also emphasize the word that remains, that because I believe we have also casted a strong foundation as a province for government and business to work together to achieve this common vision for our province. The Premier hosted last month a 2-day session with business in coalition workshop that we held, where the government openly discussed and shared our vision in the province, but also committed that business also need to do the same. We need to see where is the business wanting to grow, what investments are there in the pipeline, how do we tailor make our programs to support those investment growth that we all want to see. The Pietermaritzburg Chamber, together with the other partners, are very established institutions representing organized labor that has enabled us to develop and nurture our relations at a point where we are already greatly unified in action. But what is always called upon by business is to see those programs develop into actions from the side of government. And the task at hand now is to ensure that we work relentlessly to ensure that we remain unified, but we also never lose sight of the goal that we need to achieve. I'd like to just shortly indicate that one of the important part of our budget and aspect that will ensure growth in our province is that we collect every cent that we need to collect as government. Because, as you would know, the bulk of our budget comes from the national government through the equitable share, but the other part of our budget comes from our own raised revenue. And I have honestly looked at our budget that shrinks every year with the budget cuts, national government battling to also balance the books with the debt that we owe as government. And it becomes therefore very important that we all understand that we need to pay what is due for us to pay in terms of the taxes and all other revenue that we're supposed to be contributing. And it is important for our municipalities as well to really spend a lot of time in the collection of revenue. Because without the revenue, we are not going to be able to reconstruct the economy, to grow the economy, and to grow the cake that we are dealing with here. So I want to also plead with business. I remember many years ago, Melanie, don't know whether you were there, we hold hands with business and we went door to door, reconnecting those that have connected illegally in electricity and water, and also targeted those government officials that are not paying, politicians that are not paying what they're supposed to pay, so that we can lead by example. And when we say to our communities they must pay, we should look at ourselves first, whether are we paying for what we are supposed to be paying for. So the budget as it shrinks, we rely really on ensuring that we up our ante in collecting what we are supposed to be collecting locally. And I know that municipalities in particular are in a precarious situation where about 80% of their budget is own raised revenue. And without this revenue being raised, there is nothing that the municipality is going to be able to deliver. So I sometimes worry when I see us only talking about extending services, Mayor. I know that when I first joined government many years ago as a councillor, one of our main discussion, our push, was always to extend service delivery. But at some stage we had to realize that we also can't kill the goose that lays the eggs, because we need that goose to continue laying the eggs. So when we do not have proper infrastructure for our roads, having potholes, taking long time for people to travel and for business to move around, we are killing the goose that's laying the eggs. So when we are not delivering to the expectation in terms of infrastructure, that we are supposed to be rolling out of water, electricity, and supporting businesses in terms of looking at the environment under which they operate, fighting crime, corruption in our system. We are killing the goose that's laying the eggs. So I do want to emphasize that the issue of revenue collection really is going to be one of the areas that we have committed ourselves as Treasury, that whatever innovation that we can put into the system with other government departments that are collecting, but also from ourselves, improving the systems of collection and putting targets of what is it and how and what that we are supposed to collect. Such as ensuring that our offices are accessible where people need to come and pay. And I always wonder, my mayors and councillors, it's something that we did at some point at Tegwini, but we didn't, after some years, it was not continued, where we had a system where our offices don't close at 4:30 or 5, particularly the revenue office. That we'd rather have 2 shifts, because as people knock off at work, if they want to come and pay, they can't come and pay because the offices are already closed. On Saturday, the offices are closed. So how do we then encourage people to come and pay? If we had 2 shifts, one knocking off at 4 and the other starting at 4 and maybe knocking off at 7, at least people can come from work and come and pay. On Saturdays, we can have short days, and we know that people can be encouraged that, okay, if I'm going to town, maybe I might as well just go past the office and pay something. This is something that is really an indictment to us as government, that always we are not looking outwards. We always look inwards and look at ourselves and what is comfortable for us, but not for the communities that we serve. We see other departments by 4 o'clock, 4:30, people are already standing on their feet and closing their doors even at 4 o'clock, even before time of knockoff. Weekends, people are not available. And we ask ourselves whether we are really community focused in our posture. So I also want to say that this is one area which I do believe as the role players and stakeholders in this area of governance, you do need to critique us. You need to say what is it that you would like to see government doing when it comes to encouraging revenue collection, but also dealing with the whole issue of a collection from all communities, not only from one sector. We must agree that our collection efforts need to look at how we plow back those resources to service delivery and create employment and reduce poverty. If we look at the work that we are doing as different governments, we have been looking at the matters of government paying in 30 days. And as Treasury, this is one area that we are tasked with ensuring that government pays in 30 days. And we know the impact to business when government doesn't pay on time. And many SMMEs and emerging businesses have had to struggle to have government paying on time. Yes, Mayor, we are forging ahead with the government president. And this, though, on the other side, needs our municipality to be ready to understand what's going to be the impact of this move. Is it going to have a ghost town? Who's going to stay in those buildings where government will relocating to the government precinct? Are we ready for that plan of government? Are we aligned to that plan of government? Or we think something is going to fall from the sky and make us see the sun as it sets? So it is something that is very serious that we've been thinking about over years as we've been mulling the issue of government precedent, that the timing and our plans have got to be aligned, but also municipalities need to move in speed now that this project needs to move ahead. The one other area that I want to emphasize, that with the Premier's office being the first budget in our provincial budget, you would not understand the amount of work that this office is doing in coordinating all government departments, ensuring that all the stakeholders are brought into dialogue with government, promoting coordination and monitoring of our government work, ensuring that our international relations and our intergovernmental relations are strengthened, ensuring that matters such as the social cohesion, fighting against social ills, working with other spheres of government is promoted through the Office of the Premier. We know that Premier has been very outspoken about ensuring that all of us take responsibility. I mean, he spoke very passionately yesterday during our Operation Sugomasakhe, that we all need, it's about time that everybody take responsibility now. That really we have to move from the situation where people march and there are public protests and it must be premiers and MECs and mayors that must go there, and people who are supposed to be delivering those services are sitting comfortably in their offices without taking any responsibility for their action or inaction for that matter. People that are supposed to be implementing these government policies and programs, it's about time that they are held to account for their action or non-action. It's not the mayor who's supposed to be closing those potholes out there. It's not the Premier who's supposed to make sure that our infrastructure is maintained on time. But it's those officials that are not doing their work. If they are not managing, they are not managing. If somebody is not managing or neglecting their job, they must be held accountable and they must be exposed, as opposed to all of us pretending as if we do not know where the problem lies. The problem lies with the implementation in government. And we know who's supposed to implement. When people are sitting under the trees and not working there on the roads or cleaning, we know that somebody needs to take responsibility for those people. Those people have got managers, they've got people that are highly paid, for that matter, I must say. I was looking at the statistics that in BRICS countries, South Africa is the highest paid. We even highest paid more than Russia, for that matter. Yeah. Public service. And yet, if you look around, the filthiness, the corruption that is there, unimaginable. So I think it's one area as well that you as business community and community members in general really need to start looking at it seriously and pointing where the problems are. We know that departments such as the Economic Development and Environmental Affairs are busy at work with a number of programs that government have put in place to ensure the reconstruction and dealing with the state of our economy in our province. And we've seen the fault lines that were exacerbated by COVID-19, because by the time we had COVID-19, our economy was already on its knees. And we need to seriously be looking at, when we talk about government supporting SMMEs and cooperatives, what exactly that we're talking about? Or siyazikhulumela nje ngoba kumnandi ukukhuluma cooperatives and SMMEs. Where is the bulk of the government budget going? We know that it's going to social development, shared by 3 departments, close to what, 75 or maybe 8%, 75 more percentage is spent on 3 departments in our government. That 140 billion that we're talking about, the 80 or so percent of that budget goes to only 3 departments: education, health, social development, among the others. And other departments have got to share the 15%. All other, 11 departments have got to share the 15% that remains in that budget. So if you have that situation, and yet you are expected that we need to grow the infrastructure, how do we grow infrastructure or roll out the infrastructure when there is no money to do so? Do we use the research that we get through various bodies, whether it's census or the research that gets done by various people, the analysis that gets done by economists? Do we use that information to improve the way we are dealing with our governance? Or we just listen and close our books and correct and continue to do the same? And I do believe that if we need something to change, we've got to depart from doing the same things and hoping that you're going to see the difference. So in assessing the comparative and the competitive advantages that we have, as well as the nature and the structure of the economy, it has to be evident that we lead the different sectors and the different industries, particularly the industries such as the manufacturing, finance, real estate, business, infrastructure, construction, transportation, logistics, tourism, mining beneficiation, as well as the wholesale and retail trade. One of the areas that we've also had to point out is whether are we aligned to where the economy is supposed to grow. If you look at the list of the growth in the economy, in the globe, but also in South Africa, you'll find that there's less skills in those sectors. Sectors such as marketing, sectors such as IT, sales, representatives, transport, logistics, because a lot of people now buy online, so you need people that are going to do sales for those online buying. You need people that are going to transport those goods and logistics. You need people that are going to be able to deal with the Internet of Things nowadays. And you ask yourself that if we have so many people that are unemployed graduates, do they have the correct skills to match the economy? Or are we doing enough to ensure that the dialogue that's supposed to happen between our tertiary institutions and government and business is long overdue? If we are going to have Toyota coming to KZN or South Africa to manufacture their new car, do we have people that are skilled who are going to work in the Toyota? Or Toyota will have to bring in people from Tokyo because we don't have those skills yet. We don't even have an institution that has opened that department to start honing our skills towards what the economy and what the industry is doing. So our work of supporting business that are weak and that have got sound foundation and can become viable through accessing existing short-term industrial policy support programs to contain further job losses and protect important production capabilities and capacities. Our role is also to ensure that we support new businesses to emerge through dedicated programs of support and new programs, as well as the young people who are coming into businesses who become more vulnerable as they enter the industry without proper guidance, without proper support, either financially or in terms of the capability and human capacity. Our role is also to ensure that we support existing businesses that need to expand by creating an environment that is conducive for those businesses to thrive. And I can say a lot that really in these areas, as government, we've set ourselves to do, but also we've looked at how are we spending our infrastructure grants as well as our budgets that are dedicated to infrastructure. And we've called for, the Premier's called for a rapid response in terms of ensuring that the rapid response assists our government in ensuring that we spend the money where it's supposed to be spent, particularly in infrastructure. Because if we don't build proper roads in that financial year, we lose that money into the revenue. Come the following year, we lose more money on the revenue, and yet we have budgeted for these programs and these projects, and they are not being implemented. And that reverses what we are supposed to have done or what we thought we would have achieved by now in government. If you look at human settlement, rolling out housing as well as the other infrastructure in our province, I remember that when we looked at the issue of human settlement and housing long time ago as municipalities, we thought that growing of the housing development was going to bring a lot of revenue to government. And at some stage, we even asked municipalities to ensure that your rates threshold ensure that it captures that market, because the more people are getting social housing and they are not paying for anything, the more we are going to be losing in terms of stretching those infrastructure to the more communities. Because if we grow housing by 10,000 people, that means more electricity, more roads, more water, and if nobody is paying for that, how are you going to close that hole? We're not working smart, and we're not looking seriously at how do we plan ourselves as government in various spheres. We do need to partner with our communities in this regard of making our people understand that without them contributing kwi-revenue, angeke sikwazi ukwenza izinto ngendlela esingafisa ukuzenza ngayo. Kodwa kuqala kuthina kuqala njengohulumeni ukuthi siyakwazi yini ukuthi siqaphele indlela esenza ngayo noma indlela okuhanjiswa ngayo ingqalasizinda emphakathini wethu. Or we're just doing things and hoping ukuthi endleleni umoya ongcwele uzohamba nathi siphumelele. Nomoya ongcwele nawo udinga ukuthi ucabange. Not to sit in our laurels. if we look at Department of Health and in their quest to fight disease, curable disease, and trace people to ensure that everybody adhere to their health regimens, but also with the latest COVID and how they've managed COVID-19. We are really grateful to see that we've really had a lot of these waves that we've had to go through. Even some of us who can't swim, we've had to get into those waves and be able to ride on. Department of Health is the second largest beneficiary of this budget. And some of the programs such as Make Me Look Like Hospital, Make Me Look Like Clinic, attending to the social ills within the community, but also monitoring diseases is one area of the Department of Health that they are championing. And again here, if really we were to ensure that as we roll out all these programs, there are no pitfalls as we do so. We know that more work still needs to be done to improve the quality of health services kubona bonke abantu, and reduce the patient waiting time and ambulance responses. There has been a number of innovations that have been rolled out by Department of Health, such as that box, I forgot what it's called, where you can go scan your ID there and the medication drops like a Coca-Cola. They've also rolled out a number of programs of ensuring that people with chronic medication, they can collect their medication from the churches, from halls, from nearby areas where people live. Again, to ensure that there is not too many people that goes to hospital or clinic just to collect their medication, their chronic medication in particular. Department of Education is also doing a lot in rolling out infrastructure. And this department is one of the biggest beneficiary of our budget, with more than 6 million learners in this province. 6 million learners. And if you think of that number of learners, you must also think about the number of teachers that we need in schools. You must think about the scholar transport. You must think about the no-fee schools that need to be supported. You must also think about the quality that we are bringing to those learners or those schools. So kubalulekile ukuthi masibheke education department, yes usemkhulu umsebenzi kusafanele wenziwe, izikole zethu kusafanele zakhiwe zilungiswe kube zindawo eziphephile for abantwana bethu ukuthi bafundele khona. Othisha bethu kufanele basebenze bafundise under i-environment abakwazi ukuthi basebenze kuyo njengabantu abahloniphekile. Baphephe uma ngabe besebenza bakwazi ukuthi babe nazo zonke izinsiza zokusebenza. And at least it was during our times when you would learn science without even knowing what the science kit looked like. And nowadays, we cannot do without those facilities. They are no longer a luxury, but they are an essential part if we are to grow our economy and increase our skills base, and also ensure that our learners have got those skills that are needed for them to contribute to the economy. So I wish to invite businesses and our communities to invest in the infrastructure that we need to roll out, but also to invest in other social facilities and amenities. We know that the number of business people have been working with us over years to provide our libraries, mobile libraries, mobile science kits, a lot of other infrastructure that we're supposed to provide in our schools. But it's not enough. All of us here can play a role. We really want to say that we still are not even in compliance with the education norms as the province. And now you can imagine if we are to put every cent to education department and less for agriculture department, and less for transport departments, and less for all other departments, what difficulties are we creating for ourselves? Department of Social Development is also championing a number of programs such as the drug abuse, social ills, social stability, gender-based violence, looking at drugs and abuse of drugs by our young people and our community at large. And this is one department as well that needs to help us to rid our communities of these social ills, because the unemployment that we see growing every day result in those social ills and hopelessness that our people are feeling. So the high level of this hopelessness in our localities is as a result of this frustration that people face every day as they wake up. The fact that the desperation results in recklessness into criminal and antisocial behaviors and conduct, and the loss of respect of life and property, as we have seen over time. Ngendlela ubugebengu obanda ngayo. Kodwa uma sicabanga ukuthi baningi kangakanani abantu abahleli ezimeni ezinzima, abanye abanalo ngisho uphahla, abanye abanayo imisebenzi, baze bagcina sebedla izidakanyizwa, imndeni engakwazi ukuthi iphile njengabantu abahlonishwayo, njengabantu kufanele baphile ngaphansi kwezimo ezibonakalayo nezimo ezamukelekile. Ingakho umnyango wethu waka social development uneyinhlelo eziningi zokusiza umphakathi ngale nkinga esibhekene nazo. And if we were to really focus on some of these areas, we could prevent a lot of criminal elements and activities in our society. I'm not going to go, as I said, to different departments, but just to highlight that the support to municipalities remain one of the key areas of our government, in that without municipalities that work, without municipalities that delivers on their services, without municipalities that have got the IDP that is credible, the IDP that is aligned to the budget, not just the shopping list, the IDP that ensures that between the districts, growth and economic development, and the local municipalities, there's synergy. We're not going to succeed as national and provincial government. The support that we give to municipality will make a huge impact into how our communities experience government, because a lot of failures we've seen are in local government, but also attributed to how, as provincial government, we've taken a posture of supporting and working with local government. Constitution enforces us to support municipalities as both provincial government and national government. And I always emphasize that when constitutions say provincial and national government should support local government, it doesn't mean COGTA must support local government, but it means all government departments, be they health, be they education, be they social development, be they transport, all government departments need to support municipalities. And if we were to internalize that, I'm sure mningi umahluko esingawubona komasipala. And sometimes I used to advocate that if we have a CFO that performs like the one in Treasury, why can't we have the same in municipalities? Why can't we share that experience? Why can't we share those good practices that we have so that we can see the impact that could be achieved? And if we keep on not realizing the importance of strengthening local government but supporting local government, we really are blindsided, because we're not going to achieve even the money that gets invested. It's not going to achieve a lot. Because when it gets to umasipala, there are a lot of pit holes that are there. So as government, we've also been looking at how to ensure that in all spheres, we really deal with corruption, perceived and real. And it's something that it's easy to talk about, but when it comes to little things, because for me, corruption doesn't only start from people exchanging money or back doors, but it also stems from people that are stealing by not working proper hours. Uma umsebenzi wakho fanele kungene ngo-8 uphume ngo-4 noma ngo-5, and when you decide to go to your daughter, that's corruption, because you are getting money that you're not supposed to be getting. When you are a public servant, but you only work from 8 to 4 and not weekends, and you're looking at the grass that is long, and you're looking at all other departments, and you're not able to say, how do we pull together and clean this with the expertise that we have? We are blindsided in hoping that we are going to achieve, or things are going to get better, or something different is going to come out of the system. So one of the areas that municipalities really have not been coming through is the local economic development. You know, if you look at budgets, zabo masipala, ubheke ukuthi how much are municipalities spending on local economic development? Others, you find ukuthi they only have umuntu oyedwa osebenza kwa LED, and lo muntu kwa LED akanawo nane budget. And yet we are hoping that we need to grow local economies, that we need to reconstruct the local economies. And how do we do that without adequate resources, human capabilities that is able to make us achieve what we want to achieve? Many municipalities we've seen spend money on different priorities that they have, and forgetting that local economic development, if we are to rid ourselves of social ills, criminal elements, we have to grow those local economies. We have to support our cooperatives and our SMMEs. We have to support big businesses to continue to drive and help small businesses to learn from, but also to subcontract and get skills so that they can also thrive. So umsebenzi ekufanele siwenze noma indima ekufanele siyidlale ekusupporteni umasipala inkulu kakhulu kunendlela esibuka ngayo noma kunendlela esenza ngayo, ngoba ngaphandle komasipala angeke sisakwazi ukuphumelela kunoma yini esiyenzayo. You can plan to build a road, you can plan to build schools, but without proper municipal governance that ensures that we have governing bodies there, that ensures that Operation Sukumasake is functional, war rooms are functional, and ensuring that we have community safety committees in all our areas, that we are dealing with social cohesion. Angeke sikwazi ukuphumelela ngaphandle kwazo zonke lezo nhlaka, ngaphandle kwamasipala abenza isiqiniseko sokuthi zonke lezi zinto emphakathini ziyaya, futhi umphakathi uyasizakala ngayo yonke ingqalasizinda kanye nokuthola amathuba omsebenzi nokuzenzela bona amathuba omsebenzi. I said izolo lapho bengikhona ukuthi if people are still thinking ukuthi why singenawo Spar endaweni, why singenawo Pick n Pay, kusho ukuthi sisasenkingeni. Ngoba there's no need, there's no Spar that's going to come endaweni in a crime. And actually, I don't need Spar. I need small spaza shops that are going to be able to thrive in those particular areas and ensure that people have got their own, they are their own bosses, and they create their own economies rather than wanting shopping centers. And it's very sad, actually, because you find that even those shopping centers don't even have a single commodity that is supplied by local people. Not even a single. And yet we flock in there, spend our monies and disappear. Well, our province is largely rural area, and as such, we rely more on agriculture. And I know that Agriculture Department has really been excelling in some programs, and yet, it's one of the least funded departments amongst many. But I think agriculture really can be our gold in KZN if we were to really sibhukule nje. You drive around, awusaboni no one home, one garden. And abanye mangikhuluma kwenye indawo bathi bafuna ukutshala amasimo amakhulu, bafuna ukuba ngabalimi. And one question I asked one person was that, do you have a garden in your house? Before ufunele enkulu insimo, ufuna ube umfama, do you have a small garden? Noma ufuya imbuzi eyodwa, ubone ukuthi ukufuya kuyini. Wakha ingadi yakho, ubone ukuthi ukutshala kuyini. Before ufune udeda ngendlala, because you're not going to succeed, because you don't even know what you're talking about. So I think it's important, really, that if we are to succeed, our people need to understand that when you do something, you don't gamble. You do something out of passion, but also you do something because you want to do it, not just because you want to make money or a quick buck and go. Because many businesses are not thriving because people think, I'm going to make money here. So it's something that we really need to see, internalize kanjani le ndaba yokuthi, uma wenza into oyithandayo, awudingi nokuthi uzuvuswe ekseni, awudingi nokuthi uthi ngikhathele ngisayolala, uzukhohlwa nanokudla nanokuthi uyolala. Kodwa uma wenza something ophushwayo kuyo, uzuyavuswa, uzuyakhunjuzwa. And that's one thing that really makes a lot of businesses not succeed, because people are trial and error. Namhlanje uwenze construction kusasa, ufuna ukulima kusasa, without even perfecting any of these things esizenzayo. So I do feel that kubalekile ngesinye isikhathi ukuthi siwakhuluma amaqiniso kuze sizokwazi ukuthi sifundisane silungisane. We're not saying that government has got best models and got best plans. Of course, we know. And siyavuma ukuthi as implementing ngendlela we're supposed to implement. But we all need to see how we support each other so that we are able to implement. Of course, crime remains a serious factor in our communities. And honestly, no community, no businesses can thrive in the midst of crime and criminal elements. And criminal elements rob us of the growth that we are supposed to achieve. So, Program Director, we always talk about rolling out of the infrastructure such as broadband in our province, and it's said that we're not advancing in the pace that we are supposed to be advancing. And one area that I think we really take it for granted, the fact that there's a lot that we can do with technology in order to improve a number of areas that we are working on as government. I do believe that in today's world, if we are to be our own, champions, technology means that you can do business even here, sitting at home, not even needing an office, but doing business with even an international company. We know how many companies and insurance companies and other big businesses need drones. They need a lot of people that are going to help analyze the traffic in their databases, analyze traffic in their systems and their websites and all of that, but how many of those skills do we have? So it is something that we really need to begin to understand that in today's world, we've seen even during lockdown, how companies globally that have been involved in the technology have, been so successful in everything that they do. I do wish to say that we were very excited that when we presented our budget this year, we again show ukuthi technology ibaluleke kangakanani nanokuthi easy kangakanani. It's not like as complicated as we might have thought or ngesinye isikhathi we think it is. We presented our budget and we distributed these cards that I have here. And le card leli line budget, a speech line presentation a budget le card leli. You just scan it and then you read all the budget speech and all the documents that Mrs. Shezi was talking about. Konke kulaphelele la kule card. You won't be needing to carry amabhuku amakhulu asendayo kuze kubhoboke isikhwama nemoto. Amabhuthu wethu my office. And you don't need all of that. This is everything. And the exciting thing about it, the one part I like about it, that if you were to read, you need 10 rand of funding speech. Take a 10 rand and put your phone and read the speech. It's all in here. Saving paper, saving time, saving everything. So, Program Director, I think we are really grateful that for everybody who's here, who's taken time out of your busy schedule. So we want to really say that from our side, we send the message that we are a willing partner and we are committed to working with all the stakeholders. And I remember at some stage we used to have retired people in business to come and help us kwa local government, kakhulukazi. At some stage we had some architects and engineers who were volunteering their services to come and help umasipala bethu. Even auditors and chartered accountants, I remember we used to find them a lot under Umgen municipality. I don't know why they are there, but they like that area. And a lot of them were volunteering to come and help us go Masipala, kanye nakuwona provincial government. And I think it's something that we can look at and partner with many of you as social partners to ensure that really in unity we make our province grow, but also we deal with many challenges that we have as government and as people. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you so much, MEC. I think I said to one of my board members the other day, the provincial lekgotla that you spoke about, where business engages with government, is a really important platform in the province. And some years ago, I got to stand up there and say, I love my mayor. He's amazing, we work together so well, and our city's on the right track. And that is really the dream, is to be able to say that. And really 90% of the time, we should have exactly the same objectives. There'd be room for a lot of conflict. We want to see enterprise and economic development, we want to see the betterment of our city, and we want to see things working. So it's not really a vast secret what business needs or what business wants out of any relationship. It's not a multicolored unicorn of any description. Business simply wants a secure, quality supply of services, of water and electricity, of roads that we can navigate at a competitive price, a safe environment to conduct business, a well-maintained area, good communication, and that's pretty much the winning recipe. Business navigates an environment when the environment is conducive, and they get on with doing the business of business. So there isn't really anything unreachable in that discussion. What I loved when I went to Russia, listening to the Russian leadership, was the level of accountability built into the system. Because when the Russian Prime Minister is driving along the road and he finds a hole, he doesn't talk about collective non-responsibility. He says, bring me the guy we pay to fix this road. I want him now. And so there are no holes in the road for that reason. So I think accountability is something that we really, really need to build into the system that we currently have. I joke sometimes with the municipal officials when everyone's introducing themselves at meetings. I say I'm Melanie from the Mzanduzi call center, because I literally spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, taking calls from people. And a lot of that is to do with a failure in communication. Our communication systems need to be improved, and the responsiveness to ensure that we create the kind of environment that business needs to work in. We really want to play our part, and I think that if we can get to a space where we are able to establish a trusting relationship in which good, bad, and ugly is laid out on the table, where we can find collective solutions. The MEC spoke about corruption. Corruption is a massive problem. I have this really clever watch, and sometimes it will say to me, your stress levels seem too high, take a break and relax. And that generally is when I've heard about something that I know is going to get in the way of growth in our region. And I don't want to hear another story about investors that have tried and knocked down the doors and found themselves face to face with officials that will complicate a thing so much that the investor feels frustrated and leaves. And why do they complicate it? Very often because they see an opportunity in it for themselves. The MEC said government officials are paid exceptionally well in comparison to the rest of the world. There is no reason why they have to look for additional opportunities to make money for themselves. And then it costs the region. It costs the people that are unemployed, the potential jobs that come into that space. So we really don't want to be hearing that. And when we do hear about it, we voice it, it needs to be received and acted upon. I think that is critically important. One of the things that we battle with sometimes is responsiveness. It takes a very long time to get stuff done. And sometimes our systems are so complicated that it's not possible to achieve the stuff we want to achieve. A couple of years ago, I managed to source some funding to train some unemployed agricultural graduates as drone pilots. I found a training entity, I found the money to train them, I had a venue, it was civil aviation approved, and it couldn't go ahead because even though the training was civil aviation approved, it wasn't CETA approved, and it costs a couple of $100,000 to put it through the CETA system, which nobody had the money to do in a couple of years. So here I sat with the solution to train people, to make them employable, and it couldn't go ahead. And it was very, very frustrating to see that. If the Civil Aviation Authority says there'll be drone pilots, why can't they be? And the reason why it couldn't go ahead is because the company couldn't get their BE points because it wasn't CETA accredited. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. We do want to play our role as organised business and making a contribution. In fact, today we have a wonderful program at the moment. It's an export accelerator program in partnership with the GIZ to train 40 black-owned enterprises that are trading successfully in the local market to export. It's a very well-funded, comprehensive program that will take those businesses, get their product and their businesses ready, identify suitable markets for those products, take the businesses to market, and ensure that we make the connection. So today's the closing day. If you haven't entered, please go onto our website and enter if you'd like to take part in that program. There's no shortage of volunteers, MEC. They're very willing from the private sector to make a contribution as far as getting our government right is concerned. And when it comes to business misbehaving, I went the other day and helped pull out some illegal connections. We will not tolerate that within our own membership, and certainly we will hold business to account if they behave badly in that space. So I just want to thank you for the hand that's been extended today. We genuinely want to work with you to make this region as successful as it possibly can be. And we look forward to some good, honest engagement in the future where we can plan some wonderful things for our region. On that note, I'm going to invite our moderator for the next session, the moderator of our panel, Nomti Mzuza, who's the Director of Provincial Budget and Provincial Treasury. And our panelists, please to come and take your seats. We've got Mr. Wayne Evans, the member of SAICA Eastern Region Public Sector Committee. Ms. Zintle Sokela, businesswoman and owner of a fuel station she's a fuel station franchisee, but she's also a past president of the PCB. Dr. Sanele Gumede, economics lecturer at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and Tania Stiller, Chief Director, Public Finance, Provincial Treasury. Please come up and take your seats. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Our Honorable MEC, the councillors who are here in our midst, His Worship, the Councillor Zuma, the Mayor of the District, as well as His Worship, the Councillor Tebola from the municipality Umsundisi that is hosting us, our HOD, Acting HOD Uskananda, senior colleagues from the Provincial Treasury, the colleagues from the chamber and businesses, and all of the stakeholders that are here that are ready to have engagements with us this morning. Good morning to you all. As it has been said, my name is Nomti Mzuza. I'm from the unit that is headed by Tania Stiller. She's right at the end there, and she's part of our panelists. And so our panel is well balanced. 2 females and 2 males. And also we have our color right represented as well. So I'm just going to introduce our panelists this morning. We have Mr. Wayne Evans. As it has been said, Mr. Evans was a CFO of Transport, but today he's the member of the SAICA Eastern Region Public Sector Committee. And that's one of our stakeholders because the SAICA is an important stakeholder in grooming chartered accountants and making sure that the public sector is also having people who are skilled. And as you might not necessarily know, in the Treasury, we also are a SAICA accredited trainer. And that means that we are training a group of chartered accountants. And so it is really our pleasure to have Mr. Wayne Evans this morning. So Wayne Evans is a chartered accountant based in Pietermaritzburg and is a member of the SAICA Eastern Region Public Sector Committee. He has a Bachelor of Commerce and Postgraduate Diploma in Accountancy from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. He has over 20 years experience in the public sector, predominantly in transport and human settlements area, and has currently
has currently working for the Maritzburg College as their commercial director. Let's welcome Mr. Wayne Evans. And my HOD did mention that before, Wayne was not maybe in liberty to say a whole lot of things about government, but today he stands in a very different platform, so we will hear what he has to say to us. Second on our panel is Ms. Dintle Sokela Imbogodo Gelena. She is a businesswoman and owner of the Fuel Station franchisee. And she's joining us as the executive chairperson and CEO of Masana and Arise Trading Trust, the former president of the then Peter Maritzburg Chamber of Business, now PMCB, so she's well known to our colleagues in the room. And she served as the non-executive director in various organizations, including Comrades Marathon Association, Umgungundlovu Economic Development Agency, as well as the Umsunduzi Safe City Pty Ltd. She had served as a member of the Council of UKZN and Umgungundlovu TEVET College, and is part of the UKZN Foundation Board of Trustees. Ms. Sokela also was awarded the Businesswoman of the Year 2010 by the then South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry. She was also awarded the Merrill Award for her outstanding leadership, performance, and contribution in economic development within Umgungundlovu District in 2003 by the then Mayor of Umgungundlovu District, which was Ms. Bongi Sitole, currently the MEC for the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. Ms. Sokela is a member of the Institute of the Directors of South Africa, and she holds an MBA, postgraduate diploma in family business, and currently studying towards postgraduate diploma in risk management. Zintle Sokela has also been involved in business for the past 26 years. So let's welcome Ms. Sokela into our panel. Thank you very much. The third member of our panel is Mr. Gumede, Dr. Gumede, rather. Dr. Gumede is a senior lecturer of economics in the School of Accounting, Economics and Finance at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. He holds a PhD. His research interests are in maritime transport economics, regulatory economics, infrastructure pricing, industrial structure, and regulation. So he is here with us and representing the academic fraternity, and we know that they also have a major contribution to make into the government processes. So let's welcome Mr. Gumede, Dr. Gumede. Okay, last but not least is this dynamite woman. She is my boss. But one of the things I'm gonna say yes, not because she's just my boss. She has a way of saying no, and government departments, they know when they're trying to do things that are not found anywhere and not for the benefits of people, they know they've met their no from her. But she has a weakness of not saying no to work. We always find ourselves with, a list of things she's come back from somewhere to say, we must do this, because she has not said no. So, Tania Stiller is the Chief Director in the Public Finance Unit in the KZN Treasury, and in this position, she heads up the unit that prepares the provincial budget that we are talking about today, and performs oversight over revenue collection and expenditure of all 14 provincial departments and 15 public entities. She is the youngest of 4 children and grew up in a loving German-speaking family. She spent her schooling years in a small rural area, matriculated from the Wartburg Kirchdorf School. Hopefully I got the pronunciation right there, Tania, in 1992. Thereafter, she studied a Bachelor of Commerce at UKZN Peter Maritzburg, where she majored in accounting and economics. After a short stint in the banking environment, she then followed a passion of wanting to make a difference in this country by entering the government space. Her first effort in regards to this was a start in a fairly junior position at SMVelo KZN Wildlife, where she then worked her way up to a middle management position. She learned a lot during this time in terms of how government finances work. She then applied for a promotional position at the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, where she headed the budget unit. After a number of years in this position, she was offered a position at the KZN Provincial Treasury in the Public Finance Unit, where she has worked since, first as a director and then currently as a chief director. Her ethos is strongly focused on promoting teamwork, of constantly searching for ways to improve the ways things are done, and to instill high levels of professionalism and excellence in all that her unit does. She identifies strongly with the quote by Jane Goodall that says, "What you do makes a difference. It is up to you to decide what difference you want to make." Ladies and gentlemen, that is Tania Stiller. Let's welcome her to the panel. Yeah. So these members of the panel are going to lead us in the discussion. We've heard a wonderful speech this morning from our MEC, as well as the welcome remarks that were wonderful from Councillor Zuma. But of course, you already are having things that you've been thinking about that have been jogged in your mind. So they were allocated 15 minutes in terms of the program, but I think because of time, I'd like them, if they are able to try and keep it to about 8-10 minutes of just some of the things that are in their mind, that they are wanting to talk about and lead us in the discussion. So I will allow them, starting off with Mr. Wayne Evans. So we would have a mic, somebody who's responsible in getting us a mic. Oh, he's already have. Okay, so Mr. Wayne Evans is gonna start off with the discussion, and he will be followed by Ms. Sokela, and followed by this Mr. Dr. Gumede, and lastly Ms. Stiller. So they'll just give us briefly their thoughts on certain different things that would interest us in the room. Thereafter, you will have an opportunity to then make a contribution, whether you are asking questions or whether you are making comments based on everything that has been said today and where you are seeing your contribution or what government needs to do. So we are going to have then that discussion starting off with these comments by Mr. Wayne Evans. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, Honourable MEC, Your Worships, the Mayors, my fellow distinguished panel members and honoured guests. I would firstly like to thank the MEC for providing SAICA with this opportunity to comment on and discuss the budget that was presented on the 9th of March in the Provincial
It's very interesting for you to see what are their plans. Because I think we often just think, oh, government doesn't plan, they don't know what they're doing. But it's there, you can see it, it's very detailed. We also prepare a detailed appropriation bill, so that's just then the legal document that we require to pass in the provincial legislature as that gets passed into law and becomes the legal basis for departments to start spending their budget. The next slide. So the estimates of provincial revenue and expenditure, which is this green book, looks at the budget from all angles. I won't go into detail because I think we are running out of time, but it does have a very detailed outlook for each department. So the outlook gives you their broad plans for the coming year. They look at the conditional grants, how they're going to spend it, the infrastructure budget, how they're going to spend it. And there's just so much detail that goes into every single chapter. And I think at this point, I would like to just acknowledge my team. They are sitting at the table at the back there. I'm going to ask them, they feel very awkward in public, but if they can just rise quickly for you to see. Accountant, stand, please. My team, budget analyst, please stand. So those are that's a part of my team that puts together this comprehensive budget document. They are a largely female team, you will see that. I think we have we have two thorns among the roses, but they are, one of them I know is on leave, the other one I did see earlier on. And we are also led by two amazingly strong women. Both our MEC and the acting head of Treasury are people who are very clear on what they want from us, and that really does make it so much easier for us to prepare a budget. So, and also Nomti's in the front here as well, so she helps us put together the budget as well. The next slide, please. The other publications that are tabled on Provincial Budget Day are not prepared by my unit specifically, but they are also an integral part of our budget process, and that's the estimates of capital expenditure, which, as was said earlier on, lists every single capital project that will be rolled out in this province in 22-23. So if you want to know whether a particular school in your area is going to be built, you need to, and in this financial year, you need to have a look at that book, and it'll tell you exactly what the plans are for education, as an example. Similarly, for roads that are being repaired, you can find that detail there. The socioeconomic review and outlook also is tabled on that day, and it gives an overview of the economy and what can be done to stimulate the economy and job creation. The what question, and that's the final slide on the budget process. So what happens when the budget has been tabled? We brief the Finance Portfolio Committee on the contents of the budget once our MEC has tabled the provincial budget so that they can play an oversight role on its implementation. Each department also presents their own budget policy statements or budget speeches in the legislature, so that will be coming up in the next few weeks, where they have to detail their plans for the new financial year. Departments start spending and implementing their programs from 1 April as they have certainty of funding and have plans in place for the new year. Once departments start spending, we then still oversee their spending on a monthly basis and submit these reports to National Treasury. So it's not once off that the budget is tabled and then we leave them alone for the rest of the year. Every single month we look at their spending to see whether they are on track. If they're not, we ask them to prepare turnaround plans, and they have to explain to us why they're falling behind, what they can do. And Wayne can attest, he's been in that hot seat where we've asked them questions about why transport hasn't spent, and by the end of the year they make sure to spend, because it's a very uncomfortable position to be in, to not escalate your spending and your service delivery when there's so many demands and expectations from citizens that we do spend our budget. We also prepare quarterly far more detailed reports, and these are shared with the Finance Portfolio Committee. We also take our monthly reports to the Premier and the MECs in their cabinet discussions. So there's a lot of oversight over what happens with the provincial budget. I'm just quickly, this is the end of the budget process, but I'm just quickly going to touch on the payment of invoices. If you can move forward a few more slides, and another one. I know this is a topic that came up as an item of interest at the last budget breakfast we had in Durban. And so I was asked to also just talk about the payment of invoices. it isn't my area of expertise, but we do have members from Provincial Treasury here who can speak to it if you have questions on it. So the expectation of the Public Finance Management Act is that invoices must be paid within 30 days. And that's in terms of Section 38(1)(f) of the PFMA, and there are also Treasury Regulations 8.2.3 that say that that has to happen. We can go to the slide with the pie chart. In KZN, we are doing pretty well in terms of paying those invoices on time. You'll see that the green part of that pie chart says that 93.9% of all our invoices are paid on time within those 30 days. There's 6.1% that hasn't been paid within 30 days. But when that 6.1% happens, then Provincial Treasury's, that unit that I spoke about, they delve into what's happened there and why haven't the payments been made. The next slide just gives you an indication per department, how many of their invoices are paid on time, and you'll see that most of them, the blue column shows you that most of them are in the high 90% who do pay the invoices on time. There are some there where the orange column is too big, and those are then obviously areas that Provincial Treasury looks at and works with the departments to find out what's going on there. We can move 2 slides forward, where I just want to then indicate, because of there being some cases where invoices aren't paid on time. The slide after that one, please. Yeah. Provincial Treasury has put together a unit that's called Operation Pay on Time. And if you know of anybody who is struggling to get their payment within those 30 days, you can see there's a call center number there that you can phone. So we are not faceless. You are able to make direct contact with Provincial Treasury, give them the details. The Operation Pay on Time call center does exactly that. If you can't read the number, it's 080 020 1049. So those contact details are important for you if you feel that your invoices are not getting the attention that they need. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know, honorable members, as we would say, rather, but you are distinguished guests. We have taken a bit of time, but I thought that was important that we hear from these members and from their expertise, but also from mainly their concerns. And we've heard the challenges that are faced by small businesses. And we're going to be opening up the floor for comments, questions, and just discussions on what has been said. What I note is that, actually there's a quote. It says that small business is not for the faint of heart, it's for the brave, it's for the patient, it's for the persistent, it's for the overcomer. And already Ms. Sokela, the way she was laying out the challenges that are faced by small businesses, and even Dr. Gumede laid those out. So I do appreciate that in the room we do have business that deals with government. So that's why we would have spoken about what is in the budget for those who do tenders. But not everybody's into the tenders. There's just people who are running businesses that are not necessarily dealing with government, and they have concerns. And luckily we have our worships in the room who are representing the district as well as the municipality. And so some of those things can also be raised, knowing that they will be heard and hopefully there will be action. I think what I also want to guide in terms of our discussion is that there are challenges that are global that are facing the business sector. So there will be the pandemic, there will be China, USA, wars, there will be Russia currently. Those we might not necessarily have the expertise to speak into today, but rather I think the discussion would benefit if we were to look into the challenges that are now as a result of the city or the environment where we are in. And with the hope that at least when we come out of here, there will be 1, 2, 3 things that we feel like somebody heard and somebody's gonna do something. As it has been said by Ms. Sokela that we've had talk shows and forums before. So I would not want this to be one of those, but
hopefully there will be something that will be jotted down and somebody would work on. And I think with just that, we would love to open this opportunity for the discussions, for questions, if you have any, to our panel members. The MEC is here, the mayors are here, but also if you are wanting to just discuss something with somebody, because as we said, the small business space is a frustrating space. It could be just that you're sitting with something and you just do not know who to tell to. It could be that maybe there's an answer for you today, this morning. The service provider that is helping us with the communication is going to help us circulate. Oh, I see Zanele, circulate the mic. So we have a hand in the table. It will be followed by the gentleman with the red top, and thirdly with Miss here in the front. So we'll firstly take those 3 hands. I do note your hand, brother, there. You'll be in the next round. Thank you, in that order.
Good day to everyone. Chairperson, the MEC, Umam Dube Ngube, the mayors of Mkungundlov and Umsunduzi, HODs, all protocol observed. My name is Paul Ngem. I'm coming from NAPCOC. Those who don't know NAPCOC, NAPCOC stands for National African Federal Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Jabula sisithena ngizokuba ngizokhuluma isingisi ngizwe no MEC kade eqhuba ngoba ngiyabona abantu abagcwele lapha ngithi mbona sathi banjengami. Kuningi nje bakwethu mina kungiqayayo. Ngimthandile uSokhela ngoba she was very practical for me. Because most of the time you can see I'm gray now. But at the same time, I don't want to blame the government for all the ills. Please, I don't want to bash anyone, but I'm just puzzled, by some of the things that are done by our government, the government of the day. Some of the things that are done by the government of the day, they are not conducive, to assist black business, especially SMMEs. The government of the day, they tend to pay too much attention to big business. MEC, big business don't vote you. In fact, they want you out of power. We vote you. We vote for you. And what I wanted to say that, the municipalities, let me start with the municipalities. The municipalities, I see that they always want cooperation with perhaps chambers, not relevant chambers. They tend to exclude people like us, not necessarily NAPCOC, but as well as other fora as well, who are representing SMMEs. Durban Chamber, their ally, Tegwini Metro, their ally is Durban Chamber of Commerce and Industry. As we all know, Durban Chamber of Commerce does not really represent, the core SMMEs. I only thank Ubabu Kaunda, really, for having also changed the stance. I can see now we sit even there at Tegwini Economic Council. But we have got also the Provincial Economic Council. I don't see much SMMEs represented in that council. In that council. So the government seems to be very reluctant, at least, to ask advice from us. What is that we need? People, the government know what we need. Because the people that are representing us, they are coming from us. We grew up together in the townships. I grew up, I'm from Eshowe, but I lived in Eskawini for 30 years. I've been living, I know Babu Willis Mkun, Washi Serufor, Umwake Pambi, Wami, Mabuya Kulu, I can name them all. We grew up together. So, but now, when they're in government, they tend as if they don't know what we want. They know what we need. People, siyazut, but bayaz bafunani, esikfunayo. Also, my business esikfunayo thina bawethu. Siyathanda ukuthi uhulumeni as consultant beningi because especially thina abantu abamnyama, we are struggling when it comes to access to finance. Access to finance, we have always been struggling. Has always been a thorny issue. That is a well-known fact. So, but the government, they've set up the so-called government agencies that are not they are not pro-SMMEs. We can talk about, the NEFs, CFA, name them all. Their funding policies are just abhorrent. Their funding policies. Let me take one example so that we all live here, maybe the MEC can do about it. There were civil unrest in July. Personally, 3 of my businesses were destroyed. One at the show, two at Mpangeni. I'm in the township. And many others. And the government took responsibility, at least, to assist those businesses. They even said 60% will be grant and then 40%. Sorry, people, maybe I'm taking your time, Chairperson, but these are bread and butter issues.
You can go ahead, sir.
Yes. Then they said 60% will be grant, 40% is repayable. And they only opened just for a short term, for a short time for people to apply. Some were locked out. And they know that they're dealing with people. They know that they're dealing with SMMEs who does not even know. We're talking about financial management here. Who does not even know? I'm sitting next to me here, the lady here, she says she goes around, teaching people financial management. They know what type of people we are. First of all, we're not insured with SASRI, and then we're uninsured. They know, the government knows about that. We don't have to theorize about it, and then we call Dr. Soren to theorize. We just need the government to come to the party. Okay, what happened? They closed. Some of the people, they were outside the net. And those people, those businesses are still closed. They are not operating. So what should we do? Where should we go to? We don't want handouts. We want to work. Secondly, the government